Hello, I'm Nancy Kachingira. Welcome to the program. Ukraine's most senior security official has said the country's ready to launch its long-expected counter-offensive against Russian forces. In a rare interview, Oleksiy Danilov told the BBC the planned assault was an historic opportunity, but the government had no right to make a mistake when making such an important decision. He's been speaking to our diplomatic correspondent James Landale, and James joins us now from Kiev. James, a very crucial moment in this war for Ukraine.
Yes, it is. We've been talking about this counteroffensive for many weeks, if not months, and during that time Ukraine has been building up stockpiles of ammunition. It's been taking receipt of tanks and armoured vehicles and missiles from the West. It's been training its troops as much as it can. So when we sat down with Oleksiy Danilov, the man who's at the heart of what is effectively Ukraine's war cabinet, it was inevitable that we were going to talk about the circumstances around which this counteroffensive may at some stage begin. And this is what he told me.
We'll figure out when that will start so that we can have the best result at that point of war. It could happen tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, or in a week. It would be strange if I were to name dates or the start of that or another event. That cannot be done.
But you're ready.
We're always ready, the same as we were ready to defend our country at any time. And it is not a question of time. We have to understand that that historical opportunity that is given to us by God, to our country, we cannot lose, so we can truly become an independent big European country.
What was really apparent from this interview was just how serious a decision this is for Ukraine. Mr. Danilov said that it was a responsible decision. He said Ukraine had no right to make a mistake because, as he said in the clip there, it's just such an historic moment. Because this is not just a question about whether or not Ukraine can retake a little bit of territory that has been held by Russian occupiers. This is the moment when Ukraine will find out, can it shift the dial? Can it actually break the apparent deadlock that has gripped the military side of this conflict for so many months? And that matters not just for the Ukrainian government and the people of Ukraine here, but also for its Western backers who are looking to see whether or not all of their support, all of their money, all of their military equipment can make a difference on the battlefield. Talking of the battlefield, it was inevitable that we spoke to Mr. Danilov about the situation in Bakhmut, the eastern city, where in recent days the Wagner mercenary group claim they have been withdrawing. And I asked him about that, and this is what he said.
We control just a small part of the city, and we admit that. But you have to keep in mind that Bakhmut has played a big role in this war. It was a separate defense operation that played a big role today and in the future.
Are the Wagner mercenary group withdrawing, as their leader Prigozhin says?
Yes, that is happening, but it doesn't mean that they will stop fighting us. They're going to concentrate more on other fronts. Our intelligence is following that. We understand where they will appear next. They are regrouping to other 3 locations, and we're following that.
So we hear there from Mr. Danilov what's happening in Bakhmut. But James, when it comes to this wider offensive, this counter-offensive Ukraine is planning, do we know how Russia is preparing to respond?
Well, we know that Russia is spending all of this time preparing its defences. We've got evidence of that. BBC Verify showed us some of the satellite imagery of some of the defensives that have been built up along the front line, not just trench emplacements, but big tank ditches and other things to try and do what it can to resist that offensive when it comes. The problem Russia has got is this front line is well over 1,000 kilometres long. Its forces are thinly stretched throughout. I had a briefing with Western defence officials recently where they said they see no evidence of Russia having that crucial sort of division of soldiers and forces in reserve ready to plug the gaps wherever Ukraine may try and punch through their lines. So, Russia has a stiff task ahead of it. But what is also true is this, is that whenever something like an offensive begins, attackers tend to lose more people than the defenders. So when this offensive begins, casualty rates could be pretty high. And also there is a fear amongst some here within Kyiv that it might not deliver results quick enough for some of the Western allies out there. And there is a fear that perhaps support in the West might wobble a bit if there is not enough quick victories, enough progress when this offensive comes. And that's one of the reasons why Ukraine is making it very, very sure that they choose the moment when they think it's right to go.
Oh, very high stakes there. James Landale joining us from Kyiv. Thank you, James.